When I was 6 years old, I went to school for the first time in my life. I was excited, I was pumped up, and I'm ready to study. And suddenly, one day, I was handed an iPad. It was a really old iPad, but it had a lot of games on it. And as a curious kid, I opened the iPad and I saw a lot of games in there, and I started clicking on some of them. Immediately, I was hooked. I was playing the iPad for days, for and then you know it was so interesting to the point that whenever I finished school, the rest of the time in that day is was dedicated to playing on the iPad because everyone was too busy to take care of me. So I was left alone in my grandparents' house and with only an iPad. So I started to immerse myself into these games, and I remember playing Infinity Blade and Clash of Clans, bro. Those games was peak. I'll tell you that. And as a kid, you're supposed to have a really high energy. You're supposed to make a lot of friends, and you're supposed to enjoy your childhood, bro. But for me, I was experiencing none of that. From 6 years old to 10 years old, my life was revolving around those two games. I mean, I still have some friends here and there, but I have no interest in playing with them. I would make my eyes hurt when playing video games to the point that my eyes could not even move around anymore. And thing was really normal until the point I got to secondary school. I still at this point my communication skill was not developing properly and I could not speak normally. So I went to secondary school. All of my old friends have went to another school, so I was left alone. I was starting fresh and I have no friends. So I decided to make some friends. But my communication skill was so bad to the point that whenever I tried to speak to them, I couldn't form a proper sentence. So I think that when I was talking, my friends saw me as a pretty crazy person. So they kind of treat me, you know, pretty good, but they always look at me with a different eye than the other kids. They would not respect me as others, and I'll feel ashamed about this. I don't feel like they see me as a real person, bro. And at this point, I was so addicted to a video game, so all of my friends were video games addicts as well. We often play video games together, but after the session, we were just strangers. So basically, from 10 years old to 15 or 16 years old, the only friends that I truly play with is my phone and the internet. Yeah, to be exact. I remember that I saw a lot of secondary school couples, like they were like 14 and 15 years old, and they had some of the best memories, some of the best time ever, bro. They post on stories, they post on Facebook and Instagram about their relationship and stuff, and everyone was talking about them. And as a teenager, I was interested in finding love as well, but I was so terrified of girls, bro, because the girls in my class, whenever I try to speak to them, they always ignore me. They will always see me as a crazy person, and you probably know why previously. And since then, um, things continued, and some of the kids were making fun of me because the way I talk. I was, when I talk, I would always stop mid sentence. So, there was always, unnatural pauses between my sentence. And, they caught on to that and they made fun of me. So, you know, I feel traumatized. I feel really sad and lonely. So I distance myself from everyone. I only stay at home reading manga, watching anime, playing video games, and you know, I created a second life at home. I don't in that life I didn't have to deal with anyone. There was only fantasies. There was only stories that I interest in. There was only adventures that, could distract me from the real world for hours on end. So I stay in my room for few years straight. I mean, I do go out to buy food and stuff, but never to hang out with anyone. And at this point, I was having suicidal thoughts in my head a lot, bro. You know, I I got COVID in this time as well, so things were not looking good for me. When I got to high school, I was 15 or 16 years old. Things were the same. I was still addicted to the online world. I was still a loser, a boy with no confidence. And at high school, things got even worse, bro. This time, everyone is completely avoid me. Like, I was that kid in the meme, bro. Like, the meme where there's always that weird kid in class, and I probably one of them. And to be honest, bro, everything everything that I just said probably just in my head, bro. Because when I try to reflect on my past, I saw a lot of people that trying to talk to me that show interest in me, but I probably didn't realize it. So because of my overthinking, I was missed out on a lot of fun stuff that people do. You know, I remember one time when I was in secondary school, everyone in class was asking each other to go to the beach, but I stayed silent. I just watched them having conversations, and while they was having a good time, I was stay locked in my room and watching YouTube, bro. And yeah, so basically, I've wasted my whole teenage years, and to be honest, bro, I truly regret it. I truly regret about my mindset back then, about the way I view the world, about the way I behave with other people. But I think it was probably because I didn't know better. I didn't know how to act as a teenager because I don't know anything, to be honest, bro. I thought that was my destiny. I thought that was the way thing goes. So, you know, I thought that life would continue, would go on, and I would be like this forever. But however, when I was 16 years old, I remember it was a cold winter. I was sitting in my attic to watch play some video games and watching YouTube. I came across a YouTuber, and this was probably the first self improvement YouTuber that I watched, and he told me that if you are a loser right now, there is a way to escape, and that is through self improvement. Cold showers, journal, go to the gym, especially. So as a kid, as a teenager, I thought that this would totally change my life, and it really did, but only partially. I started to go to the gym more, not because I was passionate about it, but because I wanted everyone to see me as a better person, as a person that they could be friends with. I thought that getting big muscles and an aesthetic body would, change everything, would make me improve my social skill, would get me a lot of girls, and, improve my well-being. Probably the latter is the most correct here. However, the two former things does not happen. I was still lonely. I was still a loser that have the mindset of getting everyone validation while not improving, while not being competent with myself. So, but however, because I went to the gym, it probably boosts my testosterone up, and it naturally made me talk to more people because everyone was come to me to help me with my form, right? They help me to do correct bench press and pulling the weights or something. So I do make some good connections, and then you know thing have passed. I do make some friends that are still sticking with me until this day. But there was nothing fun in my teenage year. I didn't have a girlfriend until I was like 19 years old, bro. 18, no, 18, bro. So um I mean, right now, regret is the choice of word that I use, but I'm not totally regret about my past, bro, because I didn't know better. And if all of the things in the past didn't happen, I would not have this moment right now where I'm sitting in front of the camera to talk to you guys, and I have a loving audience that supports me, bro. And I'm really appreciate for what have happened to me, bad or good, worse or better. I love everything. And when I came here, I started to reflect a lot about my past, bro. Probably because my brain is more developed now. I mean, I still have ADHD and I'm a bit crazy, but things have gotten better over time. If like come here makes me naturally want to talk to more people because it's a novel place with novel people, people that don't speak my language, and I want to learn more. And with that mindset, I've went out a lot and I've talked to many people and made a really good connection with quite a few people. But I'm still lonely now. I don't think that anyone is I consider as friends anymore, even the one I talk here. Oh, but I guess I'm okay with that, bro. I'm not addicted to video games. I'm not addicted to YouTube anymore. I've read more books. I've recorded myself talking more, and I feel like things are improving slowly and slowly, even though not the way I want. But I'm grateful for this change, bro. I mean, I've wasted my teenage year, but what can I do in the future? That is the question I ask to myself. Will I improve or will I stay the same? Who knows? Maybe the latter, maybe the former. It depends on me. And I am the person that knows the best for me, and no one else could do that. Yeah, end of the Yap session. This is kind of weird, so yeah, thank you for watching. Peace.